Good morning, beloveds. So I'm having a little bit of a challenge this morning. I normally do this from my phone, and when I got into the app on the phone, it didn't give me the option to go live. I could have created a video, but then so I was just like, all right, you know what? We'll just do it another way. So I don't know what's going on. David had this trouble a couple of days. So it may be something that Facebook is updating on the phones. So I'm doing it from an iPad. Thank God I have that option. And which is why the camera angle is weird. And I don't know where to look. I just don't know where to look. So I'm going to look at the book is what I'm going to do. It is May 27th. Every part of my body is in harmony with the living spirit within me. And the Bible quote is, I am the Lord that healeth thee. And that is from Exodus 15:26. Spiritual mind healing has long since passed the experimental stage. We now know that we cannot tell where the body begins and where the mind leaves off. And many of us believe that the actions, organs, and functions of the physical body are really activities of the divine intelligence within us. Oh. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm using an iPad. My phone is much better at this. I will just talk louder. All right, let me start over. Spiritual mind healing has long since passed the experimental stage. We now know that we cannot tell where the body begins and the mind leaves off. And many of us believe that the actions, organs, and functions of the physical body really are activities of divine intelligence within us. To come to realize then that there is one body, which is the body of God, and which at the same time is our own body, is to within draw a greater spirit of life. We should daily affirm that. There is one life. That life is God. That life is my life now. Every organ, action, and function of my physical body is in harmony with the divine life. There is perfect circulation, perfect assimilation, and perfect elimination. If there is anything in me that does not belong, it is removed. If there is anything that my physical being needs that it does not appear to have, it will be supplied. My body is daily renewed after the image of perfection with which it must be held in the mind of God. Be ye perfect, even as your Father which art in heaven is perfect. I affirm that my body is the body of God. It is the body of right ideas, all working in harmony with each other. The life of the Spirit does circulate through it. The life of the Spirit does govern it. The life of the Spirit does sustain it. Therefore, I sleep in peace and wake in joy and live in continual acceptance that life is good. My whole experience is God. My whole life is God in action. For I am one with all life and all power. Okay. I'm teaching Heartfelt Living right now, and they were talking about the mind-body connection and how powerful it is, and the blush is actually one of the best examples of mind-body connection, because you think something in your mind, whatever, and then this flush creeps up on you. And so we know there's a mind-body connection. That is a very good example that almost you look at me and I can blush at nothing. So our mind really does have incredible power over our body. When I was first running, I was reading one of the Joe Dispenza books, and one of the things that he was talking about was visualizing. And so I would sit down in the evenings and I would visualize the path that I wanted to run. And I would visualize not stopping and walking. So I would visualize the whole thing. And about 4 4 weeks into that, I actually did what I was visualizing. I ran the loop that I was visualizing, and I was like, this is incredible. And so there is a whole, and then there's the science where they had people exercise, visualize exercising, and not do anything, like a control group. And the group that exercised obviously increased their strength. And then the group that visualized exercising actually did improve their strength. Not as much as the group that exercised. And I think they had one group that may have been doing exercising and visualizing, and they actually did better than the group that was just exercising. So it's like, there's something to this mind-body connection. So it's like, when you tell yourself you can't, you really can't. And when you tell yourself you can, there's a good chance you can, unless you're being completely ridiculous, because it happens. I do that to my trainer on a regular basis. I'll say, I'm not sure I can do that. And he'll look at me and goes, no, I have faith in you. You can do this. And then I will. And then sometimes he'll say that, and I will go, no, I'll try it. And then I'll go, no. And he says, okay, well, then we'll go down to this. So it doesn't always work. But sometimes I'm tired and just being whiny. So every part of my body is in harmony with the living spirit within me, with my consciousness. And where does my consciousness come from? Spirit. Spirit. And I know I am the Lord that healeth thee, Exodus. So really, honestly, there's a book out there called Radical Remissions, and it's about people who healed overnight. And generally, most of those people had hit rock bottom. There was nothing else. But some of them didn't. You don't have to get all the way to rock bottom to have a radical remission. But sometimes you do. All right. Spiritual mind healing has long since passed the experimental stage. You can go back and look at all of the data that Christian Science has because they keep records of this stuff. So there's evidence that this stuff works. We now know that we cannot tell where the body begins and the mind leaves off. We don't know where consciousness is. That's a fancy way of saying that. And many of us believe that the actions, organs, and functions of the physical body really are activities of the divine intelligence within us. Why wouldn't we go back to the source? Why wouldn't we go back to the source? I've said it before. Now I'm pretty sure that it must have been something I've read from Ernest Holmes. We want to go back to God's idea of us, not our idea of us. Because we have had, however many years of being informed by culture and religion and society and all of this about the way this works. But what we want to do is go back to God's idea of us. Because God's idea of us is whole. It is perfect. It is healed. To come to the realization then that there is one body, which is the body of God. So the body that we are walking around in is God's body, because God created it. And which at the same time is our own body, because we are individualized bodies of God. We are divine distributors. Is to indraw a greater spirit of life. We recognize that this body has so much more power than we have attributed to it before. We should daily affirm that. And then he goes into that beautiful treatment. And this is the one, you'll hear it. You'll hear almost every Science of Mind minister uses it most of the time. I would say every Science of Mind minister uses it at least a good bit of the time. And we do it a lot. There is one life. That life is God. That life is my life now. There is one presence, one power, one life, one love. That life, the life of God, the love of God, is my life now. My love now. My presence now. Every organ, action, and function of my physical body is in harmony with the divine life. You get up one day, you don't feel so good, say that. There is perfect circulation, perfect assimilation, perfect elimination. Because honestly, you need all three. If there is anything in me that does not belong, it is removed. Perfect elimination. If there is anything that my physical being needs that it does not appear to have, it will be supplied. So basically, if I show up one day and I'm like, okay, well, this is it there. Well, you don't belong. I have an elimination system for that. It will take care of itself. That system is now divinely activated. And if I show up and I'm like, well, I'm not feeling so hot today. What do I need? Let me go eat, and what I need will be provided for me. Let me go drink some water, and what I need will be provided for me. Let me just go breathe some fresh air, because sometimes that's all it needs. My body is daily renewed after the image of perfection with which it must be held in the mind of God. God knows nothing but the perfection of us. Nothing but the perfection of us. Be ye perfect, even as your Father which art in heaven is perfect. Perfect means whole. So you are whole. And you go back to that image that God has, because God doesn't know anything other than the whole, healed, perfect, loved you. I affirm that my body is the body of God. It is the body of right ideas, all working in harmony with each other. The life of the Spirit does circulate through it. The law of the Spirit does govern it. The love of the Spirit does sustain it. Therefore, I sleep in peace and wake in joy and live in continual acceptance that life is good. I'd like to say that I do that every day. But if I get a good night's sleep, I do wake in joy. And it is my goal to live in continual acceptance that life is good. My whole experience is God. My whole experience is God. Everything around me is God. Everyone around me is godling. My whole experience is God. And that's kind of one of those earth-shattering realizations. You're like, wait, what? My whole experience is God. It's God having an experience of itself. Which means I'm God having an experience of myself. And everyone that I experience is God having an experience of itself. My whole life is God in action. Which then immediately makes me go, well, what am I doing with my life? No, it doesn't. Because my whole life is God in action doesn't mean that I have to go out and save the world. All it means is that I get to be me and be authentically me. And that's enough. And that is enough. For I am one with all life and all power. Ernest likes his power statements. He does. All right. Our mission today, should we choose to accept it? Well, it's right there. Our mission today, should we choose to accept it, is to affirm that our body is the body of God. That every organ, action, and function of our physical body is in harmony with that divine life. That's our mission. Because if we affirm it, then we believe it. If we believe it, then it is true. And it's true even if we don't believe it. But if we believe it, then everything's going to work a little bit better. Because that mind-body connection. The mind-body connection. The power of the mind, the power of the consciousness to remind the body who it is. Where it came from, what it's made from. What it's made up of. And what it can do. All right, beloveds, that is today. So I'm going to do, as I always do, encourage you to do something loving for yourself. Do something do something loving for yourself. Do something kind for yourself. Do something compassionate for yourself. Whatever that looks like today. It's Thursday, so there is a prayer circle. I believe it's at 7 or 7:30 with practitioners John and Marissa, And so if you're interested in that, email info@creativelife.org to get that link. It's done over Telebridge. Reverend David should be on Facebook Live around 5 p.m. with you, and I'll be back at 9 a.m. And I'm going to reboot my phone, so hopefully I can do this on my phone tomorrow. And the audio will be better, so sorry about that. But between now and then, please remember that you are a beloved child of God in whom God is well pleased, always and forever. It is the state of grace that we live in. And there is nothing that can change that. Nothing. There is nothing more that you can do and nothing less. God loves you. And so do I. So please do something to engage your mind and your body. The sun is back, which in about a week I'm going to be like, where are the clouds? Go get a face full of sun first thing in the morning. It will definitely make your day go a little bit better and improve your sleep at night. Because it will reset your hormones. Drink some water. Do something to engage your mind and your body today. Do what you need to do to make it a good day. And in the process of that, open the windows of your soul. Allow that breath of heaven to remind you you do live in heaven now. You do live in heaven now. Look for the good and praise it. Because the more you look, the more you see, the more it multiplies. And that's how we make a world that works for everyone. All right, beloveds. Grand experiment. Or thank God I had a second option. All right. I'll see you tomorrow. Do what you need to do to make it a good day, a wonderful day, a fantastic day. Or if it just needs to be a day, that's okay too. All right, beloveds. Know that you're loved.